Good evening, friends. Thank you, Dr. Sudeep sir, as well as the other organizers of the seventh year in review breast cancer. There are two abstracts which I will be discussing. Both of them are related to locoregional breast cancer and they are related to the drug pembrolizumab. The first abstract is Keynote 119, a phase 3 study of pembrolizumab versus single agent chemotherapy for metastatic triple negative breast cancer, presented first in ESMO 2019 and then now in full text in Lancet Oncology. We all know that immune checkpoint inhibitors, there are two immune checkpoint inhibitors which are already approved in metastatic triple negative breast cancer. The first is atezolizumab with albumin bound paclitaxel, and the second is pembrolizumab along with chemotherapy. Both of them are approved as a combination, I mean the ICI and chemo combination in the first line. But there is also some phase 2 data for a single agent pembrolizumab, as you can see in the above table. If you concentrate on Keynote 02086 versus 012, more early we treat metastatic triple negative breast cancer with checkpoint inhibitors, such as single agent pembrolizumab, there is some benefit in response rates. When we are treating heavily pre-treated patients with metastatic triple negative breast cancer, both the response rates as well as progression-free survival significantly dips down. And thus there is a concept whether we shall treat with checkpoint inhibitors early or later, which is debatable much more after the Keynote 119. So this is a phase 3 randomized trial. Patients with recurrent metastatic triple negative breast cancer have been subjected to immune checkpoint inhibitor as a second line or a third line drug, pre-stratified by the PDL1 status and prior adjuvant neoadjuvant chemotherapy. The standard arm is the physician of treatment choice drugs such as capecitabine, eribulin, vinorelbine, and gemcitabine. Pembrolizumab is given in the standard flat 200 mg doses for total of 36 cycles. The crossover was not allowed in this trial. Primary endpoint overall survival. Alpha was divided between CPS more than 10 and CPS more than 1, and the response rates as well as PFS are the secondary endpoints. Coming to the results of the primary endpoint, as you can see in intention to treat analysis, the green line is of pembrolizumab and the maroon line is of chemotherapy. In the intention to treat analysis as well as CPS more than 1, there is absolutely no difference in survival. CPS more than 10, there is hardly a month difference with the p-value 0.05, and CPS more than 20. Before we interpret this result of CPS more than 20, please remember that CPS more than 20 was not a pre-stratified factor. It is an exploratory post-hoc analysis and thus hypothesis generating. But once the CPS is more than 20, you can see that the hazard ratio has dipped to 0.58 and it has tilted in the favor of single agent pembrolizumab. Coming to response rates, again, as the CPS increases from 110 to 20, the response rate increases from 12 to 26%, as you can see on the screen. And if you concentrate on CPS more than 20, there is almost doubling of the response rates as compared to chemotherapy. Progression-free survival, intention to treat as well as CPS more than 1 and CPS more than 10, the immunotherapy arm is not doing better or rather slightly inferior as compared to chemotherapy. Whereas even in CPS more than 20, there is a month difference in progression-free survival. So more or less, the PFS is similar between chemotherapy and single agent pembrolizumab. So this is the summary by the authors. Pembrolizumab monotherapy as a second or third line treatment for metastatic TNBC did not significantly improve overall survival versus chemotherapy. There is a clear trend in improved efficacy with PDL1 enrichment, both in OS, response rates as shown in previous trials. Responses to pembrolizumab were durable and it was well tolerated with lower incidence of grade 3 side effects and lower discontinuation due to drug toxicity. These are the comments and discussion points to my mind. Yes, this study is a proof of concept study for a single agent pembrolizumab as a second or third line treatment in metastatic TNBC, but overall it is a negative study. There is no improvement in overall survival, both for CPS 1 and 10. The study has some positive points such as good sample size, a good 31 month of follow-up, and a standard comparator arm, but the standard comparator arm lacked single agent platinum. Also, the lack of CPS more than 20 and as a pre-specified stratification factor is one of the flaw of the study. Approval of pembrolizumab with chemotherapy in the neoadjuvant settings, that is Keynote 522 in the last year, and in the first line combination studies with CPS more than 10 in Keynote 355 make these results difficult to incorporate in today's era in your clinical practice. The second abstract is based on the famous I-SPY 2 trial. It is evaluation of intratumoral SD101 and pembrolizumab in combination with paclitaxel followed by adriacyclo in neoadjuvant setting in stage 2, stage 3 breast cancer. A brief background about I-SPY 2. I-SPY 2 is an adaptive clinical trial platform basically based on a phase 2 clinical trial design, and the aim is to improve the outcomes in high-risk breast cancer patients by testing new drugs in neoadjuvant settings. It is designed to evaluate multiple new agents which are added to standard chemotherapies, such as weekly paclitaxel into 12, and the standard chemotherapy remains constant, weekly pacli into 12 and 2 to 3 weekly adriacyclophosphamide concurrently, and the primary endpoint in I-SPY trials have been always pathological CR. The goal of this trial design and adaptive clinical trial design is to target rapid, focused, and individualized development. And the two typical examples of the agents which graduated from I-SPY 2 went into phase 3 trial and then in the clinical practice are neratinib and velaparib with carboplatin in brightness trial. SD101 is injected within the tumor, so it is an intratumoral injection. Once it is within the tumor, it has shown to express toll-like receptors on the dendritic cells and thus convert the tumor from immune cold to immune hot. And there is some phase 2 data as well as in vitro data that SD101 when combined with pembrolizumab has a synergistic action and tries to remove the resistance between the tumor, tries to reduce the resistance to the drug pembrolizumab. So this is the standard I-SPY 2. Most of us are aware of it. The eligibility was tumor more than 2.5 centimeter. Both HR positive as well as triple negative breast cancers were included. For HR positive breast cancer, they have to be mammoprint high risk. Paclitaxel standard regimen as well as AC into 4 were combined with SD101, that is a research molecule intratumor. 2 injections were given within the tumor, and pembrolizumab was used as 3 weekly for the total duration of 12 weeks. After that, surgery and pathological CR was the primary endpoint. The 85% predicted probability of success is the graduation for this drug SD101 to enter into further phase 3 clinical trial. If you see the residual cancer burden, the RCB0 here stands for pathological CR. For the complete data set, the pathological CR increases from 22 to 38%, and the increment as expected is much more in triple negative breast cancer as compared to HR positive breast cancer. But please keep in mind that these results are of the combination of SD101 and pembro. When we compare this combination to pembrolizumab as a single agent combined with chemotherapy in neoadjuvant settings, if you see the triple negative subset on the right hand corner of this graph, the interval is from 28 to 60%. And similarly, it is 44 to 75% with single agent pembro. And thus, though this is not based on the trial, but this is a cross trial comparison, SD101 does not appear to further increase the tumor response rates or pathological CR when added to pembro and chemo in both HR positive and triple negative subsets. So the authors concluded that intratumoral SD101 plus pembro increased estimated path CR, but did not meet the pre-specified threshold for I-SPY 2 graduation, which was 85%. SD101 plus pembro in combination standard neoadjuvant chemo has some side effects. 13% adrenal insufficiency is definitely much more immune-related side effects as compared to single-agent pembro when combined to chemo. Additional biomarker works are required to further identify the subset of the patients which will be benefited with SD101 plus pembrolizumab. So take-home messages from my mind from these two trials are: there is a graded response to ICI in mTNBC with respect to PD-L1 CPS expression, but the exact cutoff should be 10, 20, 50 is still unclear. The usage of single-agent pembro will have minimal experimental role in patients who vehemently refuse chemotherapy or are unfit for the same. SD101 Immune Enhancer failed to improve pathological CR but opens the research arena in early HER2 negative breast cancer for ICI combos such as Nivo EP or Durva Tremelimab. Thank you.